Hello, my name is Chloe, welcome to my channel. Today I'm bringing to you my February wrap up. So it just took me a quick second to work out which month I'm wrapping up. My brain is so muddled. As I said in my last video, I've moved and I'm trying to get used to this new setup. We will see how this goes. I'm filming at like 9 o'clock on a Sunday morning, so I'm hoping that this level of light is going to be okay because it's probably as good as I'm going to get. It might get better towards lunchtime. We're trying to figure it out, and I'm trying to use natural light and get all my filming done on Sundays, so we will see how this goes. In February I had a pretty rubbish reading month. I read 7 books, which isn't the worst, but I really wanted to read some more. I had Cole staying with me for the start of the month. He left on the 15th and I wanted to pick up my reading after that, but I didn't really do it as much as I wanted to. I've got a weekend reading vlog that I will link, still can't work out which side it'll be, that I did the day he left, like that weekend. I finished 2 books that weekend, so I thought reading was going to go really well. It didn't. I've been in a bit of a reading slump, a bit of a emotional slump, I guess you could say, because I've had a lot going on. But we will see how March goes, because I've got some pretty ambitious plans and I'm feeling like it is possible that I get back up to old Chloe reading levels. So in the month of February I read 1 2.5-star book, 3 3-star books, 1 3.5-star book and 1 4-star book. I think that makes our 7 books. I'm going to go with that being right, but I'm just going to talk you through them in the order of least liked to most. First of all, starting with a controversial book then for my 2.5-star, and that is Vicious by V.E. Schwab. So I'm sorry, all you Schwab fans. I would like to justify myself to say that I also read City of Ghosts by V.E. Schwab. I read that in December, I want to say, and I gave that 3 stars, and that's Schwab's middle grade. So I wasn't really a massive fan of that, so her adult stuff I knocked down a bit. It wasn't the best book I have ever read, for me personally. So this was our Reading Between the Spines pick for the month. I can link our Goodreads group in the description so you can see everyone's thoughts on this book. I just didn't love it. So this is about Eli and Victor, who are at college together, like American college, and Eli wants to start writing his thesis on extraordinary people. Don't know, but they have these crazy ideas to try and have a near-death experience, basically. I didn't love it and I don't know what else to say. It just didn't gel well with me. I explained it as I was reading it mainly to Catherine, saying that if someone just told me the ending, I'd be more than happy. Like, I wanted to find out what was happening. Yeah, if someone would have just said, oh yeah, this is what happens at the end, I would have been happy to put the book down from the middle. There were a few bits that picked it up, that like picked up the pace and I got really into it. But yeah, I did really enjoy its like the timeline's weird. Did really enjoy that. So we went back to like 10 years ago, 2 hours ago, 10 years ago, 1 hour ago, 2 hours later. It was good like that. And that did keep me motivated to carry on reading, but the story just didn't really do much for me. I'm sorry. The first 3-star book I read in the month was All Eyes on Us by Kit Frick. So this is an e-arc that I had on NetGalley. I'm pretty sure when I got it, it was an arc. Like it was before it came out, and I just never got round to it. So I started reading this in November and maybe left off about 30% of the way through. So at the start of the month I just decided that it was time to finish it off and I finished it. So this is about some characters whose names I cannot remember for the life of me. We've got the rich popular girl dating the rich popular guy, but the rich popular guy is cheating on her with like a poor girl, but the poor girl is cheating on him with another poor girl. Mental. But the rich girl and the first poor girl, the only way I can think to explain them is rich and poor in this situation, but like, you know, there's more about them, I just cannot remember their names. So they start getting texts to say like, you need to break up with him, we're watching you, if you don't do this we'll do this, and it's all like, it's a little bit A from Pretty Little Liars. And yeah, it was fine. I worked out who, it was so obvious who the mystery person was that I started doubting it, but it was who I thought it was. So my mind was a bit like, oh, okay, yeah, got it, sound. Yeah, it wasn't the most amazing thing I've ever read, but I did enjoy it. It was a good time. There was obviously some problems with it. If it took me 3 whole months to read, I think, like, that's gonna say I wasn't that interested, but it was a good time. Glad I read it. Would give this author more of my time, definitely, but just not anything outstanding. The next 3-star book I read is As Old as Time by Liz Braswell, and I can't show you this one because when I was moving I did a big list of books I was unhauling and this one got snapped up pretty quickly, so I don't own it anymore. This is a retelling of Beauty and the Beast. It's a twisted tale where Belle's mother is the enchantress that curses the beast. This book was great. I love Beauty and the Beast. It's one of my favourite things ever. Where's my beast? Oh, my beast pop figure's way at the top, so I can't. It's too far away. Yeah, I love Beauty and the Beast. So reading this story really did make me happy. It wasn't quite what I expected. I thought there were just going to be like the original story, but when they find the enchantress, I can't, it's ruining Beauty and the Beast, really a ruin. But when they get the enchantress, I thought it'd be like, oh, that's Belle's mother, let's write 300 pages on her now. But really it was a complete retelling of the whole story, but it was so close to the original in places that at the start it was a bit like, oh, do I really want to read this? Like, I know what's going on. But it did pick up probably from halfway through. It started being completely different and it really got me into it. It was a lot darker than I thought it was going to be. So I did have a good time. It just wasn't amazing. It was also a really awkward shaped book. So when I was unhauling, I thought, yeah, I've not got a place for that in my life anymore, like a literal physical place and an emotional place. I'm not going to reread it. So somebody asked for it and I passed it on. But would recommend it. That is the only one of the Twisted Tales I have tried. I don't think I'd try another just because Beauty and the Beast is my favourite of all the stories. So if I wasn't a massive fan of that, like I doubt I'm going to be a massive fan of the stories I don't like as much. I'm really rambling now. It was fine. 3 stars is fine, but I wasn't going to read it again. Next is 10 Blind Dates by Ashley Alston. Again, I don't have this one. This was a library book that I've already returned because it needed returning. Yeah, this one was a 4-star until 30 pages from the end, maybe even 20 pages. So this is about a girl who changes her Christmas plans so that she's staying at home when her parents go away so that she can spend time with her boyfriend. I know his name is Griffin. What was her name? I want to say like Alan or something. I've completely blanked. Sophie, I think it's Sophia? I've made up all these names, but she wants to stay at home so she can spend some time with her boyfriend Griffin. She turns up at a party without him knowing that she's there, and she overhears him telling his friends that he wants to break up with her. So obviously it's not gone the way she planned already. So she goes and stays with her grandmother. She's a very big family and the whole family finds out what's going on and they decide to set her up on 10 blind dates where a different family member picks the day each day. It was very feel good. It was very nice. I think nice is the only word I can use. It was cute, it was nice, it was all happy and jolly, apart from the fact that it did get serious at sometimes. Did appreciate that because sometimes you can't just have fluffy. But then the end, obviously, I'm not going to spoil it, but it was so wrapped up perfectly. Like, you know when there's just a nice happy ending, so you leave it because you know it's a nice happy ending, but then they decide to be like, oh yeah, and 3 months later we're still happy, and 9 months later we're still happy. Like, there's no need. Just leave it. You can cut it off at a time and let the reader make their own stories of what happens in the future if they want to. So it was 4 stars until those last pages, and I went, I can't do this. This is too rounded. No. So 3 stars is fine. I enjoyed everything up to then, but it was a bit of a letdown at that point. My 3.5-star book is the first one I can actually show you, and that is Optimist Die First by Susan Nielsen. This is a library book, so I need to be taking it back. But I read this yesterday, like in one sitting. It's only a tiny book. Well, I say tiny, it's like nearly 300 pages, so it's not insanely tiny, but for a full book, it's quite short. I'm really rambling today, and I don't know what's wrong with me. This is about, how have I forgotten her name already? Petula. How did I forget that? Petula, who there has been a tragedy in her family and her little sister has died and she believes it's her fault. So she is being a complete pessimist. Everything she does, she's looking for the dangers and how to avoid them. So that's why she's saying Optimist die first, because if you're, examples on the back, if you're jaywalking, if you're cycling without a helmet, if you're texting while walking, if you're driving on the phone, you're going to die before her because she's avoiding all of these risks. She meets a guy called Jacob at her support group, and Jacob has a bionic arm, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I really loved this. So I only picked it up because I have another Susan Nielsen book on my shelf, which is right on the end here, and it's We're All Made of Molecules. And every time I go to pick that up, I don't get around to it. So I saw this shorter book and decided to see if I gelled with the author's writing rather than just unhaul that on the fact that I've never got around to it. And I did. It was very, very, very fast paced. Like, I knew where it was going to go, obviously. Girl meets boy, they both have issues. It's where these sort of books are going. But it did move very, very quickly. Like, there wasn't much development, I guess. I'm trying to review books properly now and I don't really know what I'm talking about. It happened pretty quick for any emotions to really be quite formed. It was funny, so I think it was just a little bit better than a 3-star book for me, but still wasn't quite a 4-star, just because, again, there was a twist into one of the character stories of why they've got issues, and I figured it out as soon as they mentioned what their original story was. So maybe I've just read this little story too many times. Maybe it's a bit formulaic is the word I used in my actual Goodreads review. Sounded fancy. So maybe it does just fit the mould of all those sort of stories. I'm not sure, but it just wasn't amazing. Next, I have my 4-star books. The first one being, again, a library book I've already taken back, and that is One by Sarah Crossan. This is a book written in verse, which I don't typically like, about conjoined twins. And they are, I want to say they're like 15, 16, maybe even older, 17. And it's all about them coming to terms with the fact that they have to go to a public school after being homeschooled for their whole life, and they've now got to integrate with, I hate to use the word, but how they say it is like the normal people, and try and be accepted and get over the fact they're being stared at and things like that. I don't like books in verse, but I read The Black Flamingo last month, which is in verse, and I read this month. I read this book in about an hour and a half, and it's like 400 pages long. I just steamed through it, really enjoyed it. It made me upset where it should have made me upset. It made me smile when it should have made me smile. I did figure out what was going to happen at the end, but again, I just think I've read too much YA contemporary. Like, I just know what their big twist is going to be is something I've already read before. I'm sorry. Or I've read it in a very similar sense. You can work it out without much effort. But I think that's what made me not be able to give it a 5-star, just because I knew it was going to happen. But really enjoyed it. Obviously read it so quickly that it must have been something special for me to read it that quick. And finally, a book that people will be happy is at the top of my list, but not that I've given it 4 stars, not 5. Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan. So this is the potentially one of the 2 or the one book that my boyfriend Cole has ever read. So I decided to give it a go. Brittany has been persuading me to read this book. She said she is going to force me to read the rest of the series because I said I wasn't bothered whether I carried on. So she said she's going to force me. I'm pretty sure everyone knows what Percy Jackson's about now, but Percy is a half-blood, so his dad is a god. Yeah, casual. And he goes to Camp Half-Blood. It is called that, isn't it? Yeah. To like be around more people of his kind, and he gets sent on a mission to find Zeus's lightning bolt. That's why it's the Lightning Thief. I'm really not explaining this. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It was a wild ride for me because my hair, what is going on? Because it just isn't something that I would normally read. But I did enjoy it. I feel like I learned a lot. I feel like I also knew a lot already of Greek gods, which was strange because I don't know anything, but I seem to actually know a lot of the backstory for some of this. So it made me feel quite intelligent, really, even though it is a middle grade. So yeah, Brittany said she's going to force me to continue with the series. I'm not too mad. Like, I'd carry on. I'm just not that, I didn't give it 5 stars. I'm not obsessed with them, but I did enjoy my time. So that is it. Those are the 7 books that I read in February. I only have 2 here physically, so I'm not really sure what I'm going to do about thumbnail, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, I guess. But thank you for watching this video. If you have read any of these books, please drop me a comment in the description and tell me your thoughts on them. If any of them are on your TBR and you want more details, then ask me. I don't know why I've said that. Just, you know, just comment, just interact with me. I quite enjoy answering people's comments, so please do. But again, thank you for watching this video. I really do hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.